Good morning, everybody. It's another beautiful day in Riverside County, and today we have a couple of 1 Million Cups presenters. The first one is Dwayne Nelson with clusters. Dwayne?
Thank you, Jay. Hello, everyone. Today I'm going to be talking to you about clusters. Clusters is an online feed reader. It is for helping you get all of your information online organized. I know it's a problem that everyone has. I was a heavy user of Google Reader and some of the other readers. Google Reader's since been discontinued. And in my time using feed readers, I noticed that I was getting lots and lots of entries, somewhere along the line of maybe 900 to 1,000 a day. This is obviously very, very difficult to cover. And so I was thinking it made sense to really pursue some sort of a solution for this. So the general case of too much information, what I've done here is I've basically listed a whole bunch of categories, and this represents a lot of the categories of things that people read online. And what I'm presenting this page here for, I mean, it's obvious, it's intended to be too busy, and the point of it is, even if you only care about a very small subset of these items, you're probably going to have a lot more information available to you than you're willing or able to read. So the point is we really need some way of getting this stuff organized. In a typical feed reader, you'll get a lot of the items that you sign up to via RSS, and I'll explain why RSS in a second, in reverse chronological order. This is important, this is helpful because it gives you the most recent information first, and you can scroll down and find out what you've missed. The problem is you end up getting it all kind of, as far as topics go, it's all kind of mixed up. The reason it's mixed up, and this is the explanation on RSS, is when you sign up to a number of RSS feeds, you're getting these things again in reverse chronological order. But if your topics are business, cooking, and movies, you don't know which one's going to come in when. So on to the project. I started this project, which is now the service, with two goals. The first one was to build something that would address the problem of information overload for myself. This was going to be a technological solution, and I had something really grand in mind, but I decided to start small and see how that works. The second thing I wanted to do is learn how to turn this technology into a business that's profitable. And so I found out that it takes more than these two steps. There's actually kind of a step in between, and I'll get to that in a second. So the first of these goals was to build the functioning service. And the service, as it stands, it does what it was intended to do, which is what Clusters does is automatically sort your feed according to topic. So I use text analytics, and it reads everything that's in your feed entries, everything, including everything that you've bookmarked, and anything that somebody sent to you, because Clusters users are able to send each other feed entries. I have a rolling window so that you aren't necessarily going to look for items to delete. So if you've missed something, basically don't worry about it, because I wanted it to be low stress. But there's a flexible expiration policy, so you don't necessarily have to have everything expire at the same time. For example, certain things like you might have a really, really hot recent news site, and what it's going to do is it's going to give you the most recent of the recent, and it might update that from time to time, but it's not necessarily doing a deep dive. So that you might set it so it's going to expire sooner, because information that's several days old on that site is not going to be as valuable. On the other hand, if you're looking at academic papers, those are going to hang around for a while, so you might want those to stick around for, I don't know, months, even a year. And the point in that is I have a setting for you can keep the last 10 entries, and that's enabling you to receive these entries without having to worry about them scrolling off your screen. So what the site does is it's able to take all of these things regardless of where they've come from, and it's able to find the relationships between them and bring them together in a place where you can see. So here's an example cluster. What I've picked this one for a few reasons. One of the things is at the bottom here, I don't know if you're able to read this, but at the bottom it has a title, Rush Limbaugh thinks that it's basically talking about Ebola and something Rush Limbaugh said about it, but yet it's coming from CNN Financial News. So that disconnect is something that actually ends up defeating some of the categorization schemes of some of the existing feed aggregators. For example, on many of them, they allow you to categorize things by feed, by the feed source. And so if it's looking at CNN Financial News, it might be in a financial news category. And in a financial news category, you wouldn't necessarily expect to see things about Ebola unless there was some strong financial tie-in. So above this, you're seeing Apple acknowledges iCloud hacking in China. And so what you're seeing here is you have 3 stories beneath it that are all related to it, but they would have been things that showed up in the feed earlier. And so by showing up in the feed earlier, it isn't necessarily available on this view, but since something related to it popped up more recently, those are brought up and grouped with it. And one of the things that's really valuable about this is you can see the it says man in the middle in some of the detail. It's giving you details that wouldn't be available unless you actually read the articles. So sometimes you get a lot of information without reading them. There's some drawbacks to organizing by computer. It's not always perfect. Sometimes it gets things wrong. But we believe the advantages really outweigh the disadvantages. First of all, it's fast and it's tireless. It's chewing on this stuff all the time. It's always reading your feeds. It's not necessarily associating your person with them, but it's definitely reading them, profiling them, and figuring out what works together. This is while you sleep. This is pretty much all the time. So when you get to the site, you're seeing what's presented to you is what makes sense without you having to spend the time to do this. In the future, I'd like to have some ability to have users also create clusters that make sense and share those with other users. I think a lot of the human expert opinions would be very, very helpful in this space. Goal 2 status, just where we are as far as a business. Beta launched in August. We're trying to tune the site right now according to user input, user feedback rather. And we're developing performance enhancements. We've got mobile apps going, Android and iOS, and we're considering ways to tie in with other systems as well. So the next steps, what I'm really looking for is developing some assets for marketing, whether it's graphics, whether it's just strategy. Also further building the community of users and refine the feature set to something that the users really care about.